Welcome back to another episode of the Scale Smart podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and also the founder of Next Scale Growth. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Thorsten Guggenberger, the CEO and founder of JIT. Thorsten, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thorsten, before we get into the flow of the podcast and the questions, I want to start off with finding out a little bit more about yourself and what your role consists of at JIT and also what you guys do at JIT. So do you mind telling myself and also the audience what you guys do and who you are?
Okay, great. Yeah. So my name is Thorsten. I'm located in Vienna, Europe, and basically my company, and I have a lot of good colleagues from JIT. We are the process makers. Basically, we're going to help mid and large scale enterprises tackle some of the biggest challenges that they do have nowadays. Because what we figure out, most companies know they have to do something, but it's hard to grab for them out of these possibilities they do, how they can, let's say, tackle, I would say, the baby boomer retirements, because they're going to lose a lot of workforce. Another thing is product innovation. Companies need to get fast. For startups, it's easy. But if you do have a company built out over decades, like financial services and banks, you need to transform their systems to this. And so the message is you want to retain control and agility across complex environment. If you have thousands of people running and hundreds of thousands of systems, somehow you need to sort out your huge zoo. And that's where we step in.
And as a CEO and founder, Thorsten, what does your role typically consist of?
Yeah, so I do have a strong technical background, and basically I was my first employee, so I worked bottom up. And now, of course, leading the strategy of the company, but also, especially if we're going to launch at new clients, large companies, I help there in management, organization, especially I'm closing the gap between business and IT. They are talking different languages, but want to achieve the same thing. It's kind of like if you come Spanish and the German come together and want to go on a travel. Someone needs to translate and help them to define the journey. That's mainly what I do then there in operational when launching new projects.
And JIT has grown from a small consultancy, which was founded in 2005, to a full service provider. So what would you say, Thorsten, were some of the challenges that you had and some of the challenges you still face when it comes to growing the company, scaling to where you are today?
The last years have been especially super challenging, starting with COVID. A lot of the mindset, how you're going to work, changed a lot. Then in IT and business, we are looking for high skilled colleagues, which is always, let's say, a gap in the market.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest challenge is always which technologies and knowledge you plan to set in for the future. Basically, the biggest gap was 10 years ago when we figured out, okay, there's a really big need to provide clarity to our clients. And so we stepped into this orchestration, automation, So one of our very platinum partner is Camunda, which has become one of the market leader, according to Gartner, about this orchestration, which is nothing else than sorting out and provide clarity about audio systems. Nobody was talking about this 10 years ago. So setting there back then, look in the future when you identify this is a tremendous need because changes will going to happen faster. That's tough. And right now, the challenge is how to apply AI wisely, not just because of using AI, but it's really meaningful to use it. That's the challenge, how to position AI in our solution, when to use it, and also when not to use it.
And I think I hear that a lot of companies about how do they get the message across to different companies of when to automate things, when to implement AI, what to do, when to do it. So I think it's really, really good that a lot of people are kind of not having the same challenge, but there's something going on within the market, and it's a gap for someone to kind of fill in of how do we figure this out. So that's really, really interesting. And I think the world of process automation is evolving quite fast. Obviously, you've got quite big competitors of, for example, Automation Anywhere, RPA, and it's quite it's an industry which I'm quite familiar with based on some other clients. One of the clients, the co-founder, used to be the chief product officer at Automation Anywhere, so that's quite interesting. So, what would you say you guys are doing to differentiate yourself from these big players in the game?
You know, the one thing's having the tools. First thing is decide to apply the right tools for your hyperscaler where you are in AWS, Google, Microsoft. Then you have tons of possibilities in a market what to pick, but you have to fit this according to your needs. And the second thing is, there's a lot of low code, pro code, and whatever code, but the message is it needs to be done quickly. So how do we differentiate? Time to value. You mentioned Automation Anywhere. We are also gold partner from that. So when we step into a client, we have our toolbox, configure, and then we pick them out. And sometimes we pick also Automation Anywhere. It's about apply the right technologies for the right organization, because a lot of licenses just not used efficiently. You buy a license, it's kind of like when you're going to buy a super fast car, but you don't get it out of the garage. And we are the racers. We bring in, we teach you, we do it. We get these things working. That's what really time to value. And like, Pirelli, I guess, says that power is nothing without control. And we provide you control about your tool chain and your organization.
For AI and machine learning becomes part of a process orchestra, how are you guys integrating really intelligent automations like decision-making bots and predictive workflows? What vision do you have for the role of AI in your services?
That's a wide field. So just, it's always good if you start, especially in Europe, you do have we take a lot of care of GDPR and those stuff. So you also have to put up front legal constraints where you can use AI and you're not. Talking about decisions, it's good, for example, that you identify decisions, improve them, decision tables. So let's say when to use them, or let's say if you get this, you get that special offer, otherwise it's this one. But for example, you are not allowed to do with AI and real-time weighting of your creditworthiness. So first of all, scoping, what's legal, what's not legal. The second step is start with low-hanging fruits. We always go with MVPs, which means the first solution is going out within 3 months. If we don't deliver a first business value without 3 months, we don't sign deal, period. That's one thing, giving clarity and trust to the client. And then low-hanging fruits, for example, lately we launched a success story with a manufacturer called Anwitz. But we have one agent who just processed, AI agent who just processed 50,000 invoices, saving 5,000 hours of work, which means we talked earlier about losing the workforce during retirement of the baby boomers. So you fill this gap with automation. So getting quick with small solutions and build trust. And then the next thing, what was really great and coming and already is launching, not just coming, it's already there, but just needs to get more mature, is orchestration by AI, which means you have your small agents, the stupid ones, which create you in your CM system, a new client, a new deal, which does create, calendar entries for making appointments. Those things you have to implement super solid, for the reason these are atomic functions that you are not allowed to hallucinate. And on top level, when you just manage them, like a manager, manager is more general than specialist. This is where AI orchestration comes in, tells you, hey, here I do have a super smart, strict, and properly working agent creating my calendar entries, updating them. The other thing, my offers, whatever, or my processing my invoices. This is the thing where AI is going, that, we have this orchestration. We come from this BPMN, where you have a clear vision, first to step 1, step 2, then you have a gateway, maybe in situation A, go there. Right now, for a part of these processes, you eliminate the workflows. You tell your AI agent, here I have 5 things that you're capable to do. Creating a calendar, creating a deal, whatever, and now decide at your own, based on the message, what the mail is coming in, what to do. And this you can generalize over all processes end to end of all businesses. That's the fun part. When you give back control and it's not visible anymore, the flows, but it works more efficiently. And this is right now a challenging part where we are facing off, and we really like it because game changer.
And you mentioned trust just then, Thorsten. How important is trust when getting new clients and scaling businesses?
Super important. Super important. It's if they step in with you at this moment, on the other side, it's trust, but you as a solution service provider, system integrator, you really get at the same way a lot of responsibility. Right now, we just checked it lately. We served more than 100 clients. We delivered more than 800 processes with almost 100 million instances running annually somewhere around Europe. It's super important because you have to understand when we step in, our job is to connect all the systems and make it understandable for business. So this is, you don't do that for a corner. You're going to do that of the company. You do it for the whole company. Even if you start small in one department, the vision is coming up and building an organization-wide technical backbone that is ready for the future and easy to understand for business. Trust is the most important thing.
And Thorsten, just while we finish things up, I want to ask you about what the future looks like for the company. What would you say some of the goals you've got for JIT in terms of continually to grow, maybe expanding to different countries? What are some of the growth goals you've got for the company over the next 6 to 12 months or so?
So establishing us even more in the European Union, especially DACH market, this is getting there. For us, let's say, with growth will not come with hiring a lot of people. It will come with automating a lot of things. In the meantime, we have in our process factory, which is basically team, a factory with tools. We have tools that automate the automation, which means when you're going to come in, the manual effort to provide something, develop something from the first idea to the solution will get less, and agents will already step in to support you. Time to value without losing quality. This is where we're going to go, and this is where we will grow. Especially for us, Europe is we are not paying the cheapest salaries. So when we're going to facing the East or even India, there's a difference. In 20, they cost 20% of us, but I just need to get 5 times or 10 times faster with the same quality that I deliver today. Then I succeed. And this is where we're heading to.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Great goals as well. Really nice to hear them. Thorsten, if people wanted to reach out to you or find out a little bit more about JIT, where's the best place for people to find you?
Actually, just take a look at our site, www.jit, or reach out to me on LinkedIn and then having good idea. Also, we have some nice case studies, success stories on the site so that you get an idea what you can achieve. Just feel free, reach out, and also sometimes, of course, on conventions, you're going to find me probably.
Amazing. Well, Thorsten, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you and finding out all about your journey and what you guys are doing.
Same to you. Thanks, Jacob.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.